everyone, it's Mom Steph right here and welcome once again to my YouTube channel. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell down below so you will be updated to my future tutorials. So for this video, ang pag-aaralan po natin ngayon ay ang geometric sequence, which is a grade 10 mathematics topic. So a geometric sequence is a sequence where each term after the first term is obtained by multiplying the preceding term by a non-zero constant called the common ratio. So ang ibig sabihin nito, bawat term sa ating geometric sequence ay nakukuha natin sa pamamagitan ng pag-multiply ng ating common ratio. At tandaan ng ating common ratio ay hindi zero. At to get the next term, we will just multiply this common ratio dun sa preceding or dun sa nauunang term. So ito yung example. So we have our first term, which is 2. Tapos, yung second term niya ay 4. Then 8, 16, and 32. So this sequence is said to form a geometric sequence. So let's check if this is a geometric sequence based sa definition. So, paano naging 4? Of course, we just multiplied 2 with positive 2. So we have 2 times positive 2, kaya nakuha natin ang 4. And then, to get 8, we will just multiply 2 or the common ratio to the preceding or yung nauna sa 8. So that is yung 4. So 4 times 2, makukuha natin yung 8. And then 8 times 2, makukuha din natin yung 16. 16 times 2 is 32 and so on. So kung gusto rin natin kunin yung next ng 32, i-multiply lang din natin ang common ratio na 2 sa term na 32. Another example of a geometric sequence is 5, negative 10, 20, and negative 40. Take note na non-zero dapat ang ating common ratio. So, ang common ratio sa geometric sequence na to ay negative 2. Ang tanong, pwede bang maging negative ang ating common ratio? Yes po, pwede pong maging negative. Yung restriction lang po natin ay hindi dapat siya 0. Kaya, when we are going to multiply 5 to negative 2, the result will be negative 10. At yun yung kasunod na term. Para makuha naman natin ang kasunod na term ng negative 10, we will again multiply it to our common ratio, which is negative 2. Kaya negative 10 times negative 2, that will be positive 20. At para makuha naman ang next ng positive 20, ay multiply again negative 2 times positive 20 and the result will be negative 40 and so on. The third example is 16, 8, 4, 2, and 1. So the first term is 16. And paano naging 8 ang kasunod na term? It is because yung common ratio natin ay 1/2. So, ang tanong, pwede bang maging fraction? Opo naman, pwedeng maging fraction ang ating common ratio. Pwedeng decimal as long as hindi yon 0. So, kaya naging 8 yung kasunod ng 16 ay i-multiply lang natin ang 16 sa ating common ratio na 1/2. So, 16 times 1/2, so that will be 8. And then, 8 times 1/2, that will be 4. And 4 times 1/2 again, that will be 2. And 2 times 1/2, that is 1. So mga kailangang tandaan when talking about geometric sequence. Tandaan na to determine the common ratio or yung variable na r of a geometric sequence, we divide a term in the sequence by its preceding term, yung nauna. So in symbol, r is equal to a sub n. So a sub n represents any term in our geometric sequence divided by a sub n minus 1, yung nauna sa ating a sub n na term. So, example, we have this geometric sequence 2, 4, 8, 16, at 32. So, using this formula for getting the common ratio is we divide 4 with its preceding or yung nauna sa kanya, which is 2. Kaya, ang ating common ratio ay 2. And then, ang ibig sabihin lang nitong formula na to, mamimili ka lang ng kahit anong term sa ating sequence at i-divide mo lang yan sa nauna sa kanya. So, kung pipiliin natin ng 8, 8 divided by 4 is still 2. Kaya tinatawag siyang common ratio. Kasi pareho lang yan all throughout. So kung pipiliin naman natin ang 16 divided by 8, so the result is still 2. And if we have 32 divided by 16, so ang common ratio pa rin ay 2. So ito po yung constant na sinasabi sa ating definition ng geometric sequence. So here, let us determine if the given sequence is a geometric sequence or not. Example, number 1. Yung first term ay 4, kasunod niyan ay 0, 0, 0, 0, and so on. So, bakit naging 0 ang second term? Of course, we multiplied 4 with 0. So, masasabi natin na yung common ratio dito ay 0. So, 4 times 0, that is 0. 0 times 0, that is 0, and so on. And alam na natin kung anong magiging kasunod. So, is this a geometric sequence or not a geometric sequence? The answer would be, it is not a geometric sequence. Kasi, kahit constant yung minumultiply natin na number, is dapat sa geometric sequence, non-zero dapat ang ating common ratio or non-zero dapat yung constant na imomultiply natin. So, hindi ito geometric sequence. So, let's take a look at number 2. We have 6, 18, 54, and 162. So, if we're going to get the common ratio, i-divide lang natin 18 divided by 6. That would be, the common ratio is 3. So, 3 times 18, kaya nakuha natin ang 54. And 54 times 3, kaya nakuha natin ang 162. Therefore, yung number 2 na sequence ay isang example ng geometric sequence. Sa pangatlo naman, the first term is 2, next is 1, 0.5, 0.25, and 0.125. So, kung kukunin natin ang common ratio sa geometric sequence na to, the common ratio will be R equals 1 divided by 2 or 1/2, or in decimal, that is 0.5. So, 2 times 1/2 or 0.5, ang makukuha nating term ay 1. 1 times 0.5, that is 0.5. 0.5 times 0.5, the result is 0.25. And 0.25 times 0.5, the result is 0.125. Kaya, ang sequence sa number 3 ay isang geometric sequence. How about number 4? So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, at 12. If we are to get the common ratio, we have R equals 4 divided by 2, the result is 2. Kaya ititest natin kung ang common ratio natin ay 2, makukuha ba natin ang bawat isang term. So, 2 times 2, that is 4. Tama. 4 times 2 is 8, which is not our second term. Kaya, based dito, the fourth sequence is not a geometric sequence. So ngayon, pag-aaralan natin ang nth term of a geometric sequence at kung paano gamitin ang nth term ng geometric sequence. So ang kailangan nating tandaan, to determine the terms of a geometric sequence, we can use this function. So a sub n equals a sub 1, which is our first term, r is our common ratio, n minus 1. So, example, given a geometric sequence 2, 4, 8, and 16, we need to find the 6th term and the 15th term. So, sa sequence na to, we have our first term as 2, our second term is 4, our third term is 8, our fourth term is 16. So, yung 5th term natin, makukuha natin by multiplying the common ratio to 16, and so on. So, getting the 6th term, kaya nating isolve mentally. Pero, in getting the 15th term, medyo longer na ang process. So, paano siya mapapadali using this formula? So, for this problem, we have our solution in finding a sub 6. What is a sub 6? Ito yung hinahanap sa problem na 6th term ng geometric sequence na to. So, gagamitin natin ang formula or ang ating function. A sub n equals a sub 1 r raised to n minus 1. We will just substitute a sub 6. So, ibig sabihin, we are solving for the 6th term. Equals, yung a sub 1 natin ay ang first term na 2. And then, yung r naman natin ay 2. Paano kinuha yung 2 na r? So again, dun sa definition natin ng common ratio is we will just divide 4 with its preceding. So 4 divided by 2, that is 2, which is our r. Or kahit gamitin mo yung 8 divided by 4, 2 pa rin yung makukuha. Okay? So we will just simplify this equation. So unahin muna natin yung exponent. Kaya 6 minus 1, we have 5. And then we know that 2 raised to 5 is multiplying 2 5 times. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 5 beses. So that is 2 raised to 5 is equal to 32. Kaya we have 2 times 32 here. And then 2 times 32, the result is 64. Kaya for this alone, we know that yung 6th term natin ay 64. So, paano natin malalaman kung tama yung sagot natin? Pwede naman tayong gumawa ng checking. Again, sa sinabi ko kanina, madali lang yung pagkuha ng 6th term kasi mas malapit-lapit siya sa terms na binigay sa ating sequence. So, to do the checking, we have the sequence 2, 4, 8, 16. And we know that 2 is our first term, 4 is our second term or a sub 2, tapos 8 is a sub 3, 16 is a sub 4, and then yung a sub 5 natin, okay, makukuha yan by multiplying 16 to the common ratio na 2. So 16 times 2, that is 32. Yun yung a sub 5. Tapos from our a sub 5, makukuha natin ang ating a sub 6. So 32 times 2, that will be 64. Kaya from this, we are sure na yung pang-anim na term ay ang 64. So yung kasunod naman na isa-solve natin ay yung 15th term or yung a sub 15. So again, gamitin natin yung nth term o ang function na to. And then we will substitute the values needed. So yung n natin dito ay 15. Again, yung a sub 1 natin or yung first term ay 2. Yung common ratio natin ay 2 pa rin. And n minus 1 is 15 minus 1. So unahin natin ang exponent. 15 minus 1 is 14. And then 2 raised to 14, ang result niyan is 16,384. And then 16,384 times 2, the result is 32,738. So ito yung 15th term natin. And katulad ng ginawa natin kanina, pwede nating i-check. Pero medyo mas malayo na yung 15. But we are sure of this answer because we are using this function. The next problem will be finding the 5th term of a geometric sequence where the second term is 6 and the common ratio is 2. So, sa problem na to, hindi given ang ating first term. Instead, yung given ay ang second term, pero given naman ang ating common ratio at yung hahanapin natin ay ang 5th term. So, to answer this problem, unahin muna nating i-analyze yung problem. And we begin with the given. So, yung given or yung mga hints sa problem na to, a sub 2 is equal to 6 and r is equal to 2. Kasi second term means a sub 2 and then common ratio means the value of r. So, ano yung hahanapin or what is asked in the problem? Ito yung 5th term ng ating geometric sequence. So, hindi tayo binigyan ng geometric sequence bagkos ay binigyan tayo ng mga conditions na to. So, masosolve pa rin natin yan. So for the solution to find a sub 5, still magagamit natin ang ating nth term or itong function na to. And then just substitute the given values. So yung n natin or yung term na hinahanap natin ay yung panglimang term, kaya we have a sub 5. And then yung first term is 3. Paano natin nalaman na ang first term is 3? So, using the definition of a common ratio and yung second term, alam natin na we have our first term, which is unknown, and yung second term natin ay 6. Okay? Tapos, given the common ratio na 2, we know that the next term ng 6 ay 12. Okay? So, paano natin makukuha yung first term? So, simply divide the second term with the common ratio. So, we have 6 divided by 2. The result is 3. So, kung i-check natin, 3 times 2, 6. 6 times 2, that's 12. So, kaya natin nakuha ang first term na 3 kahit hindi siya given sa ating problem. Tapos, our common ratio, which is R, is 2, and then n natin is 5, and then minus 1. So, 5 minus 1, we have this 4. And we know that 2 raised to 4 is 16, and 16 times 3, that is 48. So, para sigurado tayo sa ating sagot, we are going to check for the fifth term. So, yung gagawin natin is to go back to our geometric sequence. We know that our geometric sequence has the first term and second term na 3 and 6 respectively. And alam din natin na yung common ratio niya or yung i-multiply natin na constant ay 2. So 6 times 2, we have 12. Yun yung pangatlo. 12 times 2 is 24. Ito naman yung pang-apat. At 24 times 2 is 48. At yun yung panglima, which confirms that yung sagot natin ay tama. So the next example is in the geometric sequence 6, 12, 24, and 48, which term is 384? Ang ibig sabihin ng problem, pang ilan si 384 na term sa geometric sequence na to. So para sa problem na to, ang hahanapin natin ay ang value ng n or pang ilan ang 384 sa ating geometric sequence. So, unahin muna natin yung mga given. So, given tayo ng geometric sequence na 6, 12, 24, at 48. And, binigyan rin tayo ng 384 na isa sa mga terms ng geometric sequence na to. Pero hindi natin alam kung pang ilan siya. Kaya, yung label niya ay A sub n. So, ang gagawin natin is to find n para malaman natin kung pang ilan si 384. Kaya, gagamitin pa rin natin ang ating function or yung ating nth term. And then, substitute lang natin, si a sub n is 384 equals yung first term natin is 6 and then yung ratio natin ay 2. Again, paano kinuha si common ratio? 12 divided by 6 is 2. 24 divided by 12, 2 pa rin. 48 divided by 24, 2 pa rin. And then, unknown naman si n, and then minus 1. So, since nandito yung n na variable, we will operate in this side. So, hindi muna natin i-multiply ang 6 at 2 kasi 2 has an unknown exponent which is n. So, ang gagawin natin is i-eliminate muna natin yung 6 sa side na to. We will divide both sides with 6. Kaya ito, 6 divided by 6 magiging 1. Kaya, on this side, we are left with 2n minus 1. And on this side, 384 divided by 6, that is 64. So now, para makuha naman natin si n, review muna tayo ng base at saka exponent. So yung base natin dito is 2. And that is raised to an exponent which is equal to n minus 1. At ang resulta niyan is 64. Kaya, we will rewrite 64 into an exponential form with base 2. So, dapat magkapareho sila ng base. Para malaman natin kung ano ang equivalent ng exponent. So, alam naman natin na pag nag-multiply tayo ng 6 na 2, the result is 64. Or if we're going to rewrite that, we can express 64 to 2 raised to 6. Kaya, rewrite 64 into 2 raised to 6. So ngayon, magkapareho na sila ng base. So consequently, pwede nating sabihin na yung exponent na 6 ay equivalent ng n minus 1. So to get n, we will just transfer negative 1 to the other side of our equation, so magiging plus 1. So 6 plus 1, the value of n is 7. So para makasiguro tayo, we will have checking. If it is true na ang 384 ay ang ikapitong term sa geometric sequence na to. So, gagamitin natin ulit yung nth term ng ating geometric sequence. So, ating a sub n ay 384. Tapos, yung first term natin ay 6. Yung common ratio natin ay 2. And then, n natin ay 7 minus 1. So, magiging 2 raised to 6. And 2 raised to 6 is 64. 64 times 6, that is 384. So, 384 is equal to 384, which is true. Kaya, masasabi nating tama ang ating sagot na n equals 7. Now, for our bonus problem, find k so that the terms k minus 3, k plus 1, and 4k minus 2 form a geometric sequence. So, in this problem, meron tayong tatlong term. Pero, ang terms natin dito ay algebraic expressions, which is k minus 3 as our first term, k plus 1 as our second term, and 4k minus 2 as our third term. So, kailangan alam natin yung definition ng ating geometric sequence para masagutan to at para makuha natin ang value ng k. So, yung ating geometric sequence based sa ating problem ay k minus 3 ang ating first term, k plus 1 ang ating second term, at 4k minus 2 ang ating third term. So, since sinabi sa problem na ito ay geometric sequence, at alam natin na kapag ito ay geometric sequence, yung common ratio niya ay magkapareho if we will divide a sub 2 to 1 or kahit i-divide natin ang a sub 3 or yung third term sa second term. So in this case, gagamitin natin yung mga terms sa ating problem which are k plus 1 as our a sub 2 over k minus 3 as our a sub 1 or yung first term. Tapos, equal din yan sa third term or yung 4k minus 2 divided by the second term or k plus 1. So, ang equation na to ang ating gagamitin para makuha ang value ng k. Kaya, we have this equation. So, if we have rational expressions on both sides of our equation, pwede nating i-multiply with k minus 3 at k plus 1 both sides. Pero, medyo mahaba-haba na rin yung process na yon. Kaya, pag ganito, the shortcut will be to cross-multiply the two fractions. Sa side na to, naging k plus 1 times k plus 1. So, yan ang result ng cross-multiplication natin dito. So, k plus 1 times k plus 1 here. And sa kabilang side naman, yan ang result ng 4k minus 2 times k minus 3. So, we have this. So, sa previous learnings natin, if we're going to multiply binomials, we will use FOIL method. So, pag nag-FOIL method tayo dito at saka dito, this will be the result. K squared plus 2k plus 1. And the other side will be 4k squared minus 14k plus 6. So, i-group lang natin para maging simplified ang ating equation. So, ang nangyari dito is, we just transpose these terms here to the other side of our equation. So, why I choose to transpose these terms to the other side? Para makuha ko yung standard form ng quadratic equation. Since yung ating expressions in both sides are quadratic expressions. So, positive 4k squared when transferred to the other side of our equation and grouping it together with its similar term, So we have negative 4k squared plus k squared. And then, yung negative 14k naman, transferred to the other side of our equation at grouped to its similar term. So we have 2k plus 14k. So naging positive. And then, yung positive 6 naman, when transferred to the other side, ay naging negative 6 and pareho silang constant ng 1. So, kaya 1 minus 6 equals 0. So, naging 0 to kasi we transferred all these terms to the other side. Kaya this side is wala nang natirang term. So, if we're going to simplify these expressions, we have negative 3k squared as the result of negative 4k plus k squared. And then 2k plus 14k is equal to 16k. And then 1 minus 6 is negative 5 equals 0. So we have our quadratic equation in standard form. Pero, since gusto nating isolve yung value ng k, kasi yun yung nasa problem, mas mainam kung gagawin nating positive ang coefficient ng ating quadratic term. So, para gawin yon, we will just multiply negative 1 on both sides of our equation. Okay. So, pag nag-multiply tayo ng negative 1, yung negative 3k squared ay magiging positive, yung positive 16k ay magiging negative, at yung negative 5 ay magiging positive. And then yung 0 is wala namang mangyayari. So now, we have our quadratic equation in standard form pa rin. Now, if you observe, the coefficient of our quadratic term is more than 1. So, if you were watching my video on how to solve quadratic equations by factoring, gagamitin natin ang diamond method. So, sa diamond method, ay gagawa lang tayo ng malaking x. Okay? Tapos, sa upper part, ilalagay lang natin yung product ng coefficient A and C. So, yung coefficient A natin ay 3. Yung coefficient C naman natin ay 5. So, 3 times positive 5, the result is positive 15. Sa baba naman, ilalagay natin yung coefficient ng ating linear term. Negative 16. Okay. So, dito sa part na to, ilalagay natin yung factors ng positive 15 na when added is may sum na negative 16. So, ilalagay natin dito ang factors ng positive 15 na may sum na negative 16. Okay. So, kung ililista ko ang factors, since positive 15 to, pwede kong gamitin ang positive 15 times positive 1. So still, if I multiply these two numbers, 15 times 1, the result is positive 15. Pero, if I'm going to add these numbers, 15 plus 1, the result is positive 16, which is hindi ang hinahanap natin. Another factors ng positive 15 ay negative 15 times negative 1. Yung result niyan ay positive 15 pa rin. And if I'm going to add these two numbers, the result is negative 16, which is yun yung hinahanap natin. Kaya, we are now sure that the factors that we are looking for are negative 15 and negative 1. So, after nyan, we will rewrite that in this manner. Okay. So, ang nangyari dito is kinopya lang natin yung quadratic term na 3k squared at yung constant term na positive 5. Pero, instead na negative 16, ginawa natin siyang negative 15k minus k. Kasi, itong part na to ay equivalent pa rin siya sa negative 16k. And then, gagawin lang natin ang grouping method. So, we will group 3k squared minus 15k plus negative k plus 5. Yung kasunod niyan ay kukunin natin ang GCF ng bawat group or yung common factors. So, sa first group na to, common ang 3 sa 3 at 15. Kasi yung 15 is 3 times 5. So, ilalabas natin yung 3. Common din yung k sa k squared at k, kaya ilalabas din natin yung k. Kaya, yung GCF nito is 3k at yung matitira sa loob ng parenthesis ay yung isang k minus 5. And then sa kabila naman, yung common factor lang niya ay negative 1. So bakit nilabas natin ang negative 1? Kasi yung goal natin dito is makabuo tayo ng another common factor which is k minus 5. Kaya para maging k minus 5 sa kabila, ilalabas natin ang negative 1. Imo-multiply natin positive times negative, kaya the result will be negative 1 dito. Observe na k minus 5 and k minus 5 here ay common. Kaya ang gagawin natin ay ilalabas natin dyan ang k minus 5. Kaya ang mangyayari, nasa labas ang k minus 5 at ang mananatili sa isang grouping symbol ay yung 3k at saka yung minus 1. So we have 3k minus 1 here equals 0. So to continue, since we now have our two factors equal to 0, the next step is to apply the zero product property. And according to zero product property, we will just equate the two factors to 0. So, yung k minus 5 will be equal to 0, at yung 3k minus 1 is also equal to 0. So, to get the value of k, we will transpose negative 5 to the other side of our equation. So, we have k equals 5. Yan yung ating first value ng k. Dito naman, we will transpose negative 1 to the other side of our equation. So we have 3k equals 1. And then to get the value of k, we will just divide both sides with 3. This will become 1. So 1 times k, that is k. And then yung sa kabilang side is 1/3. Now to make sure kung tama yung sagot natin sa mga values ng k, gawin natin ang checking. And we have this question in our mind. Is it a geometric sequence if yung value ng k is 5? So, una nating iti-test ay ang k minus 3. So, yung equivalent niyan is 5 minus 3. That will be 2. Kaya yung first term natin kapag yung k ay 5 is 2 yung first term. So, to get the next term sa ating geometric sequence, gagamitin natin ang k plus 1, which is equal to 5 plus 1 equals 6. And that is our second term. To get the third term, we will use 4k minus 2, and that is equal to 4 times 5 minus 2 equals 18. So, bakit naging 18? So, we have 4 times 5, that is 20, minus 2, kaya 18. So, yung third term natin ay 18. So, balikan natin yung question. Kung geometric sequence ba to? So, we have 2, 6, and 18. Ano kaya yung common ratio niyan? So, ang common ratio niyan ay 6 divided by 2, that is 3. Tingnan natin kung pareho pa rin yan sa 18 divided by 6. So, 18 divided by 6, kaya 3 pa rin. So, this means na yung answer natin na k equals 5 ay tama. Ngayon, we will now check if geometric sequence pa rin ba kung yung value ng k natin ay 1/3. So, for our first term, k minus 3, that is equal to 1/3 minus 3. So, gawin lang nating magkapareho ng denominator. Negative 8 cubed. Tapos, for the second term, k plus 1. So, we have 1/3 plus 1. Again, gagawin lang natin magkaparehong denominator. So, we have 1/3 plus 3 over 3 equals 4/3. Okay, yan ang ating second term. Next is we have 4k minus 2. That is equal to 4 times 1/3 minus 2. So we have 4/3. Bakit naging 4/3? Is 4 times 1, kaya 4. And then just copy the denominator. Minus, gagawin lang natin magkaparehong denominator. So we have 6/3. That is equal to negative 2/3. Okay. So yung nabuo nating geometric sequence ay negative 8/3 as our first term. Yung kasunod na term niyan ay 4/3. And yung kasunod na term raw ay negative 2/3. So based sa definition ng ating geometric sequence, dapat yung common ratio niyan ay constant. I-try natin kunin ang kanyang common ratio. So we have, try natin si 4/3 divided by yung nauna, negative 8/3, and that is equal to 4/3 times yung reciprocal ng negative 8/3, which is negative 8, which is negative 3/8, and that is equal to negative 1/2. So yung isa naman, tingnan natin kung consistent. So we have negative 2/3 over 4/3. And that is equivalent to negative 2/3 times the reciprocal of 4/3, which is 3/4. Okay, kaya this will be divided. And then we have negative 2/4, that is still equal to negative 1/2. Kaya, nakikita naman natin, okay, consistent naman na yung ating common ratio. Therefore, this means na yung answer natin na k equals 1/3 ay tama. And that's the end of my tutorial. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell down below so you will be notified to my future tutorials. And please don't forget to share this video para sa mga posibleng matulungan ng tutorial na to. Thank you and God bless!